Let me guess, you're here because you keep hearing and seeing things about this new game called Monster Hunter Rise, and you have some questions. So let's hear them.
Okay. What is Monster Hunter?
It's a video game.
What is it about?
Hunting monsters.
Seriously? Well, is it for me?
Obviously, yes.
Alright, I'm getting annoyed. Just answer the questions before I get mad.
Oh, alright. But that's going to take a little bit more details and a little bit more time. There goes the whole idea of a quick, easy video.
Dumo plays.
So Monster Hunter is an action RPG game in which you hunt monsters. Self-explanatory? Simple enough. The monsters are essentially boss fights. So Monster Hunter is basically a game where you constantly do boss fights. There are other kinds of quests like simple fetch quests, but the bulk of the game is just hunting monsters. In this series, you don't get experience. Instead, your strength is tied to your gear. If you want to become stronger, level up your gear or make something new that's stronger. You're also going to improve through your own experience. You as a player will get better from hunting more monsters and from hunting the same monsters repeatedly. The game is also very popular to play online in a group of up to 4 players. Let's quickly talk about the gameplay loop. You accept a quest, you prepare for the quest, usually eating for buffs, getting items ready like restocking your healing items, and changing any gear that needs to be changed. Then you set out, kill the monster that's required, and carve it for its parts. Then you use those parts to make new weapons or gear or level up the ones you already have. Then you use that stronger gear to hunt a stronger monster for its parts, to level up your gear or make new stronger gear. And then you use that to hunt an even stronger monster, and so on and so forth. That's the loop. One thing for you to know, you don't actually have to kill the monster, you can capture it. There are actually even some benefits to capturing monsters, including better odds at some of the more rare drops. Otherwise, you kill the monster and you carve it for its parts. You'll also get rewards after the hunt from monsters you defeat and from the quest itself. Things like part breaks, such as cutting off a tail, breaking claws, breaking wings, those add up to more parts in your rewards. In fact, a lot of this damage is going to be the only way to know how far along you've progressed against the monster, since there actually is no health bar for the monsters in the game. You'll have to rely on learning to see the damage that they're showing. Then if they're tired or they're tripping or even limping, these are all signs you're going to have to look out for. After completing the hunt, you'll take your rewards to the smith to craft or upgrade armor and weapons to get stronger, and as I said before, hunt even stronger monsters for their parts. Let's talk gear. It looks great, and it's functional. The gear is made from monster parts, and they tend to have themes based off of those monster parts that they're made from. Gear has defenses, resistances, as well as abilities. The abilities can be very powerful. There are a lot of build options, and if you're into the whole min-maxing scene, there's a lot here for you to dig into. Not into that? Well, fashion hunting's a thing. Just look as good as you can. But what if you're interested in both? Well, there's a system in the game called layered armor, where you can be wearing one piece of armor for its abilities, but then layer another piece of armor over top of it to get the look you want. So you can have that max min build, or some experiment with a big crazy build, but still look amazing while you're doing it. It's all up to you. There are 14 weapon types in the game. 3 are ranged, 11 are melee. All weapon types can have different effects. Some are just raw damage, some have elemental damage added on top, and some can inflict status like sleep or paralysis. As a general rule, fast-hitting weapons are better for elemental and status, and the slower weapons prefer straight raw damage. The ranged weapons do piercing damage, whereas something like a hammer does blunt damage, and the swords do slicing damage. You have all sorts of choices from fast weapons that get a lot of small attacks in, to the slower, bigger weapons that charge up one massive hit. There's weapons that like to counter, there's weapons that just like to hold up a shield and defend. I'm not going to get into all the different weapon choices in this video, we'll do that in another time, but there is something for everyone, and you should be able to find something that speaks to you. The important thing to understand is that all weapons are viable, and all weapons can be picked up by new players. Some are easier to learn than others, but they'll all work. Some get better times than others, but again, they all work. The most important part is finding something that you enjoy. They even have a training room where you can practice and try out all the weapons. You start the game off with one of each weapon, and you can switch between them in order to find out what you like most. You're not locked into the first choice you make, and you can always build something new, even on the same character. You don't even have to restart. In fact, many players keep a few weapons around. Personally, I'm going to be using Lance for the single player and Hunting Horn for the multiplayer before branching off into other things at endgame. Other people main hammer, and they like to bring something like a longsword or a greatsword in order to be able to cut off tails whenever they need to. One thing that you kind of need to understand is that Monster Hunter requires some getting used to. It can feel really clunky and abnormal at first, but soon after, it actually settles into what I feel is one of the best control experiences that I've ever had in a game. Last, I wanted to talk about the actual combat system, because there's a few things here where it gets a little bit unique to the series. It doesn't matter how good you think you are at wielding the weapon in the training room, if you don't understand the combat system and the monsters, you're not going to make it very far. Each monster, as I said earlier, is a boss fight. So each monster has a set number of attacks that it will have, and all of those attacks have tells. Some are more telegraphed than others. Unlike other games, the combat system in Monster Hunter is based around commitment. When you start an attack, you're committing to the entire movement of that attack and its recovery afterwards. Attack at the wrong time, and the monster will punish you. However, monsters are also bound to the same rules. They must commit to a large attack and the recovery afterwards. So for you, avoid the attack and punish the recovery. That's the essence of Monster Hunter combat. This combat can be very, very rewarding. Everyone eventually hits a wall, a monster that they struggle to get past. But as long as your weapon and armor is up to date, you'll eventually learn the monster better, and you'll get better at the game, and eventually you'll break through that wall, and that is an incredibly rewarding experience. The game is not easy, but with the difficulty comes a great reward. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section below. If you want to find players to play with or just people to talk to about the series, feel free to join my Discord server. The link is in the description. If you enjoyed this video, I invite you to leave a like and possibly even subscribe for more. There's a lot of Monster Hunter content planned for the future, especially content to try to help new players. Until next time, give your palamute a pat on the head from me, and have a great day.